Hello, hello, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I haven't been live in a while. I'm back. In case you don't know me and you stumbled upon this, I'm Beth Granger. I'm a trainer, coach, and speaker on the topic of unleashing the power of LinkedIn and networking. And I like to introduce you to interesting people in my network. Side note, my Crisp app, my noise canceling app, doesn't seem to be working. So you might hear weird stuff like the person next door was just singing. Anyway, you never know. My guest today, oh, by the way, share, like, comment so other people can join us, even if you're watching after the fact, because we will get notified. My guest today is Mildred Talabi, and she specializes, and when she spells it, it's with an S because she's all the way across the pond, specializes in helping female leaders and coaches elevate their personal brand, thought leadership, and influence by being visible on LinkedIn. Now, what's interesting about that is you might think she's a competitor. Well, those of you that know me well know I don't believe in competition. I believe in cooperation, collaboration, and that there's a little space, a special space for each person in who their clients are. Welcome. Welcome this
Thank
morning,
you.
this afternoon for you.
Afternoon for me, absolutely afternoon. And yes, I am 101% with you on the no competition thing, because I really believe that when you work your personal brand and you just focus on being yourself, you eliminate competition. Nobody can do you like you, So hey, fellow LinkedIn friend Beth, Plus we've collaborated, haven't we, on Clubhouse, many
Yes.
times before.
I
Yeah.
have to say, I haven't really been spending as much time there as I did in the beginning. I like to dive into any new platform and see if it makes sense for me and for my clients. And I use it more almost like a podcast now. Sometimes I'll listen to rooms, but I haven't hosted a room in quite a while. What about you?
I completely dived in just like you around that period, and I was on it for about 3 months, and then I got busy, and then I just tried to get back into it, and it just doesn't have it for me. So literally last week I was like, should I delete this app? That's how much I haven't been on it anymore. I was like, should I delete this app? It's just taking up space on my phone. So I've left it just in case I want to dip back in, but it's not. No, it's not doing it for me anymore,
Yeah,
at all.
I've been a guest on
Mm.
people's rooms, but I haven't hosted my own. All right, so talk to me. How did you get started with this whole visibility thing, and how did you decide that female leaders were the people you wanted to work with? Was it by accident, by design? Tell me a little more.
Okay, so my journey to the whole visibility thing is it's kind of my background, quick background check, So I started off as a journalist in my career, so that's what I trained as, and I worked as a journalist and I worked in the media for a while, and then I kind of went along into PR, public relations, and then into communications. But along the way, I always had a business on the side because I was entrepreneurial from young. My dad's done like 101 businesses. So kind of growing up around that, in my head, the seed of I'm going to do my own thing was always there. So even while I was working, I had a business on the side. And along my career, and eventually what ended up happening was the business started growing and growing and growing. I've done different things. I've even had a raw foods company with my husband at one point. So, and then as I was doing the businesses, and I wrote some books along the way, and LinkedIn was a place where I was able to consistently promote my personal brand, and be visible. Although at the time I wasn't using the word visible because I wasn't being intentional about it, but it was like, this is a place where you can come and you can really share what you're about with a bigger scope of people than the people you currently know. So that was great. January 2020, around beginning early 2020s, when I decided to kind of merge both worlds and stopped doing one foot in work and one foot in business. I went completely all in my business early 2020 and rebranded as a LinkedIn visibility coach, and shortly after COVID hits and everybody's like, oh my God, how do I use LinkedIn? How do I network? So the timing was perfect in
It
that sense,
was.
it really was perfect. But the visibility side is so key because it's not just LinkedIn training in terms of how do you use LinkedIn, what are algorithms, that stuff doesn't turn me on. It's not, I'm not the person for that. I know about it, but it's not what turns me on. But visibility, really encouraging, and it's specifically women. I know some guys struggle with this, but I know in my work and along the way, it's like I realize that a lot of women struggle to show up on LinkedIn, to just turn up,
to shine.
Posts out there to shine. Yeah, and you've got all this glitter, but you don't want to show it. You don't want to shine. So that's why I was like, I love working with women. I understand women, being one myself, and being somebody who had to overcome a lot of barriers myself in order to start being visible. I understand what the challenges are that my women face. So it makes it so much easier to work with them and help them get the results that they're looking for.
Do you find, I've had some conversations with clients, and some of them are uncomfortable finding that line between business and sharing of themselves. I wouldn't say personalist or personal, right? So finding that place where they're comfortable, how much of themselves or their behind the work scene, outside of work, are they comfortable sharing? How do you advise people when they have that challenge, or what do you talk about with people?
Yeah, definitely. That is one of the areas one of the barriers that I hear a lot from my women as well, especially if someone who's a private person or identifies as an introvert, which I am, in both cases, tick, tick, So it's kind of really understanding that. And I think one of my early business coach helped me to see this, especially if you're in business, right? You have to separate your person from your business, even if you're a solopreneur, and you are the business, because there are some things that your business requires of you that your person will cringe at. Your business requires, in order to breathe and live, it requires you to go out there and put yourself out there so that people can see you and they can sign you and they can become your clients, right? But your person sometimes might wake up and feel like, oh, I don't quite fancy it today. Today I want to stay a bit longer in the duvet, or today you just have to now go into business mode. Like, okay, my business needs me to show up as this person today. So that's one side of it. But on the personal side, it's understanding that there's a difference between just sharing your personal life and sharing personal elements of yourself that help to showcase your humanity. So I'm a wife and I'm a mom of 2 girls. Every now and again, I may talk about that side of things, but for the most part, I don't, because it's not relevant to the day-to-day stuff that I do. So my private life stays my private life, but occasionally, if it's relevant and if it's going to benefit somebody else, you might hear about my private life. And that's kind of like the mark that I tell my ladies to use. It's like, what is the benefit of it? Because I know in this day and age, it's so easy to, like, if you want to generate a viral post, you can just put out some stuff about your family, put some stuff out about something personal so that you go viral. But then it's at what expense? And is that something that you can sustain as a strategy? And the answer is no, it's not. So yeah, you can maintain your privacy and still be upfront and public with the things that are necessary for people to know about you.
I love that. I love that distinction between the personal and the things that show your humanity, or clarify why you think a certain thing about business or where it applies. So I think that's a great way to think about it. And hey, Mark, thanks for joining us. And whoever else is with us, again, feel free to share this out, comment, and join the conversation. So do you work with people at different stages of their business? Typically, beginning, middle, experience?
Yeah.
Where do you like to place your time and your emphasis?
Yeah, I've had clients from all ends of the scale. So I've had clients who are brand new, like I've just transitioned from a corporate career and I want to set up my coaching business and I don't know how to go about it. Because then again, a lot of the struggles that women have, and I'm referring, Mark, I know you're here and you're a guy, we love you still. I'm just talking about women specifically because that's the demographic I work with and I know them well. But a lot of the struggles that women have in this area. So you've worked a corporate job for 20, 30 years, for example, and now and while you're in that role, your title was essentially who you are. and to a certain extent, you've been able to hide behind your title. And then you transition into being a coach, and now you are the person, you are the business, and you can't hide anymore. There's no big corporate to hide behind. So for a lot of women, that's a big scary thing to do. So I like working with women at that early stage where they've made that transition, and it's like LinkedIn is big, scary world, and I kind of hold their hand through it for the first few months or so while you get your feet up on a platform. But then at the other end, I've had clients who have had, especially during around the pandemic time, who have had businesses for a long time, and they got their businesses through face-to-face networking. So they've never needed online technology as such. And now it's like, we can't meet face-to-face anymore. How do I build relationships online? How do I network? So it's both ends of the scale interest me. I like the diversity of my work.
And it has been a fascinating time. I remember a week into being in lockdown, I got a call from a client. I had spoken at their sales meeting, and they said, "We paid attention, but now we really need to pay attention. Can you do that same talk virtually next week?" So it a change of behavior. But to me, and tell me if you agree or have a different thought on this, the behavior on LinkedIn is very much like, if somebody's not sure how to behave or to do a certain thing or not, I say, if you're in a room full of people in person or on a Zoom meeting, would you say that thing? Would you do that thing? And that's a way to help figure out your behavior on LinkedIn. To me, it's really very much like a 24/7 networking event. You can introduce people, you can introduce yourself, you can ask questions, you can get involved in conversations, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. It's like, I like to say, and I write an article about it, but one of the objections that people have about LinkedIn is like, oh my God, LinkedIn. I mean, Facebook, I'm okay with, I can be myself, but LinkedIn is a professional platform. And I will say to people, yes, it is a professional platform, but behind the professionals are real people. These are also real people. They are human beings. They're not just names on a computer. So exactly what you said is, how would you deal with real people in real life? Just try and think of it in that same way when you're online on LinkedIn.
And I love what Eleanor just said. She said she loves the idea that when you are you, there is no competition. Thank you for joining us, Eleanor.
Absolutely true, Eleanor. Thanks for that.
Now, I hear you have some kind of club or tribe, a Visible Women Tribe. Tell me a little bit about that. Is it new?
Tribe. It is newish.
Okay.
It is newish. I don't know how long is new. Something is new before it's no longer new. But Visible Women Tribe. I love my ladies in the tribe. I absolutely love these ladies. And this is the amazing thing that happens when you start being visible on LinkedIn. You don't know where the journey will take you. So I started like putting my stuff out there. It'll be coming up to almost 2 years next year, right? So, and it's just, I'm putting my stuff out there. I'm trying to help people with LinkedIn and, to get more visible on this platform. And along the way, probably about a few months into really committing to LinkedIn actually approached me, right? And they said, we love what you're doing. We love your content, love the videos. We want to give you a license for LinkedIn Live. So I've had a license from LinkedIn Live for over a year now. Literally, they gave me the license and paid for a 1-year subscription to StreamYard and said, just go live. And at the time, I was like, I don't know what to do with live, but I kind of said yes and then worked it out later, which is what I always recommend in most cases. Say yes first, and then you can work it out, And then but from doing those lives, I ended up doing a show, started getting the idea for a show called Visible Women on LinkedIn. So this is a show that I do. Season 5 is coming out in November. But this is a show that I started last year where I have conversations, kind of like what we're doing here, Beth, with amazing women on LinkedIn who are building their brands and their business. And we really kind of get behind the scenes of how do you do it? What are the challenges? What's your journey? What's your story? Because we all have a story. So from doing that show, I started to notice, I'm from my post, but this group of women started gathering around my work. There's sometimes it's like the same names kept popping up again. They started connecting with each other. It would be like, hi over there and hi over there, that kind of stuff, And so what ended up happening is that this group of women started meeting on Zoom. So they formed a LinkedIn group on a message group, and they started meeting on Zoom, calling it Mildred Start Being Visible group. I was like, oh my God, So this thing Visible Women Tribe came organically because they started doing it themselves. And after a few months of them doing it, I was like, okay, let me come in and make this formal. So in June 2020, this year, June, is when we formalized Visible Women Tribe and put some structure behind it and really made it like it's a membership organization where women can get involved and really plug into the work that we're doing on LinkedIn, but also meet a community of women who are on this journey to being visible and building your business together. So we do training sessions, we do networking socials, we just support each other, we hang out, and I love it. It's a really great community to be part of, if I may say so myself, slightly biased.
The key thing there is that you listened to your community. In other words, sometimes your community, your clients, your whoever it is, will come up with something for you to do that you never thought of.
Yeah.
Right. So you didn't come up with it. They did. And you realize, wait a minute, they want this. They need this. I'm going to go with it. And I love that. I've done the same thing with my collaborative content creation. I realized I had numerous clients where I was coaching them, being like a personal trainer for their content. And I had never thought of that. They thought of that. So it's amazing. And there's a nice conversation going on in the chat. Mark says one of his number one mentors is his mom. So that's wonderful. And thanks for joining us, Mark. Now, do I remember correctly that you are working on another book?
Another book. I can't get enough.
Very prolific when it comes to content and books. Do you mostly like to communicate in writing?
I do. This is the thing. I am a writer by nature. It's been in my blood since I was little. Literally, my earliest memories of like me holding a pen and notepads, like 4 years old. My very first thing I had published was at 7. It was in a magazine, a poem that I wrote. So writing is in my DNA. But also, my dad has written like 27 books. So wow. It goes even deeper than that. So I'm competing with him, But yeah, so book number 5 is right now is in my head, but I'm hoping it will be in manifestation kind of early next year sometime. But it's a book on, I'm currently doing a research project around visibility and what is holding women back from being visible on LinkedIn and beyond, like what are the challenges, what are the obstacles, and how do we overcome that? So that's really my last book number 4, which is called Start Being Visible. It's specifically about tools and techniques and how to use LinkedIn as a platform to build your business and your brand. So that's very strategic. This one, I'm thinking of it more as it's less tactics, but more mindset kind of, and at that level, because once you can overcome it at that level, the strategy, the tactics is easier to do. And I'm finding that, again, from what you said, listening to my audience, it's whenever I talk about the barriers to visibility, that always hits a nerve with my audience, because there's a lot of barriers that women are facing from being visible, and I really want to help them overcome it. So that's the idea for book number 5.
I love it.
Coming soon next year.
and something you said about, barriers to being visible. I think there are, especially women, I mean, it happens to women and men, whoever, but where if they're visible, sometimes they get, I wouldn't say harassed, although that happens too, but they get, people, we'll look at LinkedIn, look at the challenges we've all had. Okay, people may not realize this happens, but we've all been approached in a direct message or a connection invite with inappropriate comments and things like that. So I think sometimes people are afraid to put themselves out there because they're not sure what people are going to say. But I think it's worth it because, report and block, that's all you have to do. Yeah, absolutely. And it tends to be quite a small minority of people who misuse LinkedIn, but a very small minority. So for the most part, there's nothing to fear. Most people are great. And I've met so many people either from LinkedIn and then gotten to know them outside of LinkedIn, or met people in person and then extended that relationship on LinkedIn, met people on Clubhouse. You know, it's a wonderful place to be. And we both agree.
Yes.
So let's see. What else do we want to talk about in our next few minutes? Well, there is something I know. I don't know if you wanted to talk about. I know last month was the anniversary of something very special for you that I think was part of why you want to encourage people to be out there. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. So last month was my 2-year anniversary of being brain tumor free, So yeah, I'm alive and kicking, alive and kicking. I'm not going out just yet. I got things to do, right? So yeah, no, and that was when I was kind of because it took me, and this is what we were talking about earlier on when you're talking about sharing your personal and private life and what is, what should you share. It took me probably about 8 months after the experience of having this brain tumor and having to have this major surgery, and where I spent 3 days in intensive care, and it took me some months afterwards to kind of relearn how to walk again and just get back on my feet. My mind was always intact because where the tumor was in effect, my thinking, it was more my movement. But it took me a long time before I felt comfortable enough to say something about it on LinkedIn, because it is very personal, and it wasn't that I was hiding it. I actually put something small about it on a blog I had at the time, but I was like, no one reads my blog anyway, so it's fine. It's kind of still hidden, but LinkedIn was like, I know I have an audience here. This is a big deal. And it's a level of vulnerability that Brené Brown talks about, which requires courage, so I had to find the courage to put it out there. And I put it out there because I had a specific purpose for putting it out there, because at the time I was trying to do a fundraiser to mark my 1-year anniversary of being brain tumor free. And I wanted to do Tough Mudder, which is like this real physical obstacle challenge, and then COVID just messed everything up, So I was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? So I put the post out to ask for ideas on how to market. And in order to do that, I had to mention what it was. So the day after I did it, I was like, I had to do a video, because I did a video telling people that was one of the hardest things I had to do online, just saying that publicly. And that went crazy. Like loads of people really plugged into that, because it was like, it was scary, it was scary. So that's the thing. But now I can talk about it because it's been 2 years now. I've processed it. I've got the lessons out of it. And I realized that me sharing the story, because sometimes you look at people online and you think they've got it all together. They must have a perfect life and nothing bad's ever happened to them. It's not the case. You never know what stories people have and what they're dealing with behind the scenes. You just never know.
And that's the thing. When you do have that courage to say something, you find out people have either gone through the same thing, or someone they know, or people then, because you've taken that step, are comfortable sharing from themselves. So I think it's an incredibly powerful thing to do. And I'm coming up on an anniversary of something where I wrote a post, not right away, actually a number of years later. And I don't think you realize how many people you're helping by doing that. So it's wonderful that you did, and that you now can. And it shapes, I think those kinds of things shape so much who you are, and hopefully for the better. And you would never ask for that thing, but who you became because of it, and what you realized about life is a very powerful thing, for sure.
Absolutely, the lessons, priceless.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's. What can we tell people? What can you tell people if they want to be more visible on LinkedIn or anywhere, and they don't know where to get started? Where's a really good place to begin?
Okay, well, I actually designed a test, which I
Oh,
call my LinkedIn visibility test. It's like a scorecard. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's like 40 questions, but it's the questions are structured around the four what I call the four pillars of LinkedIn success, which is profile, content, engagement, and audience. So you go through this quiz. It's just a yes or no kind of quiz, but it's 40 questions, and you go through it, and at the end, it gives you a score on your LinkedIn visibility.
ah,
So how visible are you on LinkedIn? So you can it's a free test,
I
absolutely
love
free
it.
quiz. So if anybody wants to know, you're thinking, oh, how am I doing on LinkedIn? I'm not actually sure. So yeah, you can check that
Share the
out
link with me,
completely.
and I'll put it in the
Sure.
text of the
Yeah,
of this post.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can go to it's startbeinvisible.com is the website. So
start
you
being
go to
visible. Okay.
startbeinvisible.com. If you go there, you'll see the test right there at the top, and you can take the free
I
test
bet it's
there.
better than the social sales index.
Oh, of course it's much better. LinkedIn needs to buy it off me, right?
You hear that, LinkedIn?
you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I do find people don't they feel like that first post or that first thing has to be perfect. And what I say is, no, no, it's an
Mhm,
evolution, and you stress over every little thing. But
mhm.
other people, first of all, only percent of your network's going to see it.
Yeah,
Just keep
yeah.
going, keep sharing, communicating in a strategic way, and it'll just continue. Thank you, Eleanor, for sharing the link.
Ah, lovely. Thank you.
And um, yeah, it's I think just doing it is,
Mhm.
and not stressing too much over each post or each comment. Yes, you want to have it, you want to spell check or whatever. You want it to
Yeah.
come from your heart and come from who you really are. But if the fear of what could happen is stopping you from doing it, I just do it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, you will evolve. There's a lot of things that you can't learn by theory. You can only learn by practice. So as you get riding that bicycle,
Yep.
whatever it is, then that's how you master it. So yeah, just do it. Just start. Just get started and then refine as you go along.
I love it. And then you'll end up meeting amazing people like I met Mildred, and collaborating with them and being able to refer them and be referred by them. And you find your community. So you build it by accident on purpose, or you find the conversations that are happening that you want to be part of. Any last tips or things you want to share with everybody that I didn't ask you or that we didn't talk about?
You covered a good lot. That I could go on for ages. There's loads, but no, I think we've covered a lot, and I think just kind of what you're saying. That my message, my mantra, is the title of my book, is the title of my website. Is just start being visible.
I
That's
love
it.
it.
That's the message. Is start being visible. So yeah, go to startbeinvisible.com and do that test to show you where you are. But that's really it.
I'm
That
going to
is
do
all. Yeah, hey, go for it. That is it. Just start. Start today. Don't wait till tomorrow.
This has been so lovely, so wonderful to catch up with you. Um, and thank you for taking time this afternoon for you, this morning for me, to join me on LinkedIn Live. And have a wonderful day. And everyone, I don't do these lives as regularly as I did the first 2 years that I did it, but it's and Eleanor calls us the ladies of LinkedIn. I love it.
Thanks, Eleanor.
New hashtag.
Yay.
Everyone, stay well. Or the new thing I've been saying is think positive, test negative. Have a great day,
Ooh.
everyone.
Thanks, Beth. Bye, everybody.